Hello students, welcome to the lecture on organizational culture and its management, and after this lecture we will able to learn the following objectives. The concept of decision making, explain the components of decision making, describe the models of decision making, explain the kinds of decision, understand the concept of planning. Let's start with organizational culture and its management. A decision may be defined as a course of action which is consciously chosen from among a set of alternatives to achieve a desired result. The word decision is derived from the Latin words deciso, which means a cutting away or a cutting off, or in a practical sense to come to a conclusion. According to Peter Drucker, whatever a manager does, he does through decision making. Decision making is an intellectual process which involves selection of one course of action out of many alternatives. Concept of decision making. Decision making is an essential aspect of modern management. It is a primary function of management. A decision may be defined as a course of action which is consciously chosen from among a set of alternatives to achieve a desired result. The Oxford Dictionary defines the term decision making as the action of carrying out or carrying into effect. According to Riwada and Newport, decision making involves the selection of a course of action from among two or more possible alternatives in order to arrive at a solution for a given problem. Components of decision making. The main components of decision making embraces information. This refers to details and knowledge about a decision, including the impacts of each alternative, the probability of the choices and other things. Alternatives. These are the choices or options that an individual can select from. Alternatives may be identified and determined, or it can be developed. Criteria. These are the requirements from the available alternatives. The option that meets the criteria is usually selected for the decision. Goals. Goals have to be identified before the arriving at a decision. Value. This pertains to the desirability of the decision outcome that provides satisfaction and contentment to the decision maker. Preferences. These are the individual beliefs and commitments of the person. It also means the personal values that dictate individual preferences. Decision quality. It is an evaluation of whether a decision is desirable or not. Acceptance. Acceptance is a critical ingredient in decision making. Decision makers must accept the chosen alternative wholeheartedly. Models of decision making. There are two basic models used to describe the decision making process: the rational model and Simon's normative model. The rational model. It proposes that people follow a rational four-step sequence when making decision. Those four steps are identifying the problem, generating solutions, selecting a solution, implementing and evaluating the solution. The normative model. It takes into account the fact that leaders are bound by certain constraints when making decisions. These constraints include personal and environmental factors that reduce rationality, such as time, complexity, uncertainty, and resources. Kinds of decision. There are different types of decision made in a company. They differ based on the risks involved and the level where the decision is made. Here are the various types and the things that differentiate them from each other. Strategic decision. They are the ones that have a huge impact and lots of risks for a business. Because of the huge significance, strategic decisions are usually made at the top level of a company. Tactical decision. These support the strategic decisions that were made at the top level and have moderate consequences. They are made by the mid-level managers of a company. Operational decisions. These are called administrative decisions. They have short-term consequences for a business. They are usually made by low-level supervisors or even by ordinary employees. Concept of planning. According to Fayol, the plan of action is at one and the same time the result envisaged, the line of action to be followed, the stages to go through and the methods to use. It is a kind of future picture wherein proximate events are outlined with some distinctness. According to Lewis A. Allen, management planning involves the development of forecasts, objectives, policies, programs, procedures, schedules and budgets. According to Theo Heyman, planning is deciding in advance what is to be done. When a manager plans, he projects a course of action for the future, attempting to achieve a consistent, coordinated structure of operations aimed at the desired results. According to Coates O'Donnell, planning is an intellectual process, the conscious determination of courses of action, the basing of decision on purpose, acts and considered estimates. Types of planning. Planning in simple terms involves drawing up a scheduled list of activities required to achieve a particular goal. Its types include strategic planning. It is the kind of planning that provides direction for the organization on how to proceed in the long run. In order to be able to devise the organization's strategy, it is necessary that the organization knows where it stands in terms of its capital, availability, its strengths and its weaknesses. Operational planning. While strategic planning looks at the organization growth in the long run, operational planning is more about tactical and short-term planning. This planning is essential to ensure that the organization is consistent in terms of its production and distribution of goods and services to the market. Financial planning. Financial planning in an organization deals with the preparation of a budget. A budget is a list of all the planned expenditure and revenues of an organization. It implies estimating the expenses the organization will incur and the revenues it hopes to earn. Marketing planning. Marketing is the way by which companies promote themselves, their company products and services to gain the attention of the people. Market planning is needed to achieve all the marketing targets and objectives. Proactive planning. Proactive planning means to plan in advance for something that has not happened yet. By planning ahead of any event, the organization has more leverage and is armed better to deal with the situation whenever and if it arises. Steps in the planning process. Planning might appear to the initial step for anything, but the best part is that even for planning to be done in an efficient manner, there are certain steps that must be adopted in a sequential order. The planning process involves the following steps. Analysis of external environment. The external environment covers uncontrollable and unpredictable factors such as technology, market, socio-economic climate, political condition, etc. Within each, our plans will have to operate. Analysis of internal environment. The internal environment covers relatively controllable factors such as personal resources, finance, facilities, etc. at the disposal of the firm. Determination of mission. The mission should describe the fundamental reason for the existence of an organization. It will give firm direction and make our activities meaningful and interesting. Determination of objectives. The organizational objective must be spelled out in key areas of operation and should be divided according to various departments and sections. Every member of the organization should be familiar with its objectives. Forecasting. Forecasting is a systematic attempt to problem into the future by inferences from known facts relating to the past and the present. Intelligent forecasting is essential for planning. Determining alternative course of action. It is a common experience of all thinkers that an action can be performed in several ways, but there is a particular way which is the most suitable for the organization. Management should try to find out these alternatives and examine them carefully in the light of planning premises. Evaluating alternative courses. Having sought out alternative courses and examined their strong and weak points, the next step is to evaluate them by weighing the various factors, selecting the best. The next step, selecting the course of action, is the point at which the plan is adopted. Establishing the sequence of activities. After the best program is decided upon, the next task is to work out its details and formulate the steps in full sequences. Formulation of action programs. The timetable or schedule of work must be estimated well in advance so that the functional objectives are achieved within the predetermined period. Reviewing the planning process. Through feedback mechanism, an attempt is made to secure that which was originally planned. Goal setting. Plans are the means to achieve certain ends or objectives. Therefore, establishment of organizational or overall objectives is the first step in planning. Developing the planning premises. Before plans are prepared, the assumption and conditions underlying them must be clearly defined. These assumptions are called planning premises, and they can be identified through accurate forecasting of likely future events. Summary. Now in the end, let us summarize what we have learned in this lecture. Planning involves the selection of objectives, function of management policies, procedures and programs from among alternatives. A plan is a predetermined course of action to achieve a specific goal. In short, it is a blueprint for action. Decision making is an essential aspect of modern management. It is a primary function of management. A manager takes hundreds of decisions consciously and subconsciously. Decision making implies that there are various alternatives and the most desirable alternative is choosing to solve the problem or to arrive at expected results.